Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to M&O Coding. So far, we've looked at our variables, our conditionals, and our loops. And today, we're going to be jumping into functions to write cleaner, smarter, and more reusable code. So we just finished up our loops video, and if you remember that one, when we ran our code, we saw that it ran all of this at once, even though when we were trying to just test our triangle out here. So it ran all the way until that first input, and then we had to put that in. But now then we have to put this in, and then we finally got to test our triangle methods. But what if we just wanted to jump straight to our triangles? And that's what today is going to be talking about. So we're going to open up that new file, and we're just going to, I'm going to write title mine, functions.py. Again, that py.py is there to tell the computer that it is a Python file. So, again, what is a function? Function is a little machine in your code. You can give it an input and it does something, or you don't have to give it an input and it'll just do something for you. It'll give you an output. So it helps keep your code dry. What is dry? Dry is simply do not repeat yourself. And that makes things really easy because the less times you have to write something or the less you have to write, the better. So, before we would have just written a print statement here, but we're jumping into functions, and the way you start off a function is with def or define. So define greet, just like that, and we want it to print hello world. This is M&O coding. So before, we would have just put that, and when we hit run, it would have printed the statement. Let's see what happens now. We get nothing, because this right here is a function, and we never contacted our function to run this. So now to get this to run, we now have to call greet. So let's run this now. So now we get our input. So right here, it contacted our greet function. So this is just a function without a parameter. This is one with no input. Just a minute ago, we talked about how functions often have inputs. So now we're going to change this one up, and we're going to give it an input. So input. So we're going to print. We're going to write f hello world, and then we can do something like this. Just print hello name. Now, we're going to say, we're going to give it Alice. Let's give it greet Bob. And then let's give it greet M&O coding. So now that when we run this, we get hello Alice, hello Bob, hello M&O coding. Perfect. So instead of having to write print hello Alice, print hello Bob, print hello M&O coding, we now just got to give it the name, and it wrote the print statement already for us. So now let's jump into a function that returns a value. So this one we gave an input, and now we want an output. So now that we have this, we're going to jump back up here, and we're going to define another function, add. So we're going to add A, and we're going to add B. So now we could do return. So what return is doing is this is the value that it is going to be, or the output that it is returning. So if we were to return A plus B, or B, now when we run this code, so we want to add 8 and 14, and we're just going to run this inside a print statement. So it's what this is doing is printing out whatever the output of this is. So we run this, we get 22. And last time I checked, 8 plus 14 is 22. Another way that you could have printed this out is result equals add. Let's do 3 and 4. And then print result. 3 plus 4 is 7. And that is another way that you can take your output and print it out to the screen. But why would you use functions? This seems like a little bit of a stretch to do this. Well, you do it to organize your code, because like in our loops here, we had two loops to do the same thing, and our functions, or not our functions, and our conditionals, we had this here. But what if we wanted to constantly go through this and check a different grade every time? We would have had to rewrite this if state or this if else here and return this whole or this print here. We would have had to repeat this amount of times. And remember, we want to be dry. We do not want to repeat ourselves when we code, which also covers the next point. We want to reuse our logic. So instead of having to rewrite this cascading if else statement, we can just keep this once and constantly call it to get the same logic, and it makes your code easier to test and debug. If you had to retype this a whole bunch of times, or you needed to update something, having it written out once allows you to only have to update and test one thing rather than each time you had to retype it out. So we're going to make a little mini challenge, and that is going to be a function called isEven, and then we're going to give it a number. So I want you guys to take this or we've got our def, and I want you guys to take this, pause the video, and try this out. So what this is doing is we want it to return true if number is even, and return false if number is odd. So pause this video, go give it a try, and then come back and see how our code compares. Alright guys, so if you guys are new to coding, I know this one might have been a doozy. You might have had a long list. If is1, return false. If 2, return false. If 3, return false. If 4, return true. If 5, return false. If 6, return true. If 7, return false. If 8, return true. If 9, return true. If 10, return true. A long statement. But there's a much simpler way to do that, and that is with the percent sign here. So what this is your remainder. So in math class, if you took 15 and you divide it by 4, you got 3.75, because you had another way of writing this, 3 3/4 left. So it's giving us this remainder. So it is now saying this mod would give us the 3 here. So if we were saying maybe we were going 21 divided by 4, now we're getting 5 1/4, or 5.25. And so it is going to print out this 1 right here as our answer. So and isEven is divisible by 2, correct? So we can simply do if number here 2 equals 0, return true, else return false. And then let's see how this works. Let's give it a call. And then isEven, we're going to print, we're going to give this a value. So test1 equals isEven, let's give it 14. Test2 isEven 39. Test3 isEven 0. And then we are going to print test1, print test2, and print test3. So let's give this a run. Let's see. False is not defined. Oh, syntax. False needs to be capitalized. Let's rerun this. So true, false, true. So 14 is divisible by 2, so we got our true. 39 is not divisible by 2, so it is false. And 0 has no remainder when dividing by 2, so it is also true. But let's see, what would it print out if we got a 1? Now it's got a false, because 1 divided by 2, we still have a remainder. Alright guys, that is the basics on functions. If this helped increase your understanding and broadens your minds and allows you guys to think up with some projects to build your functions off of, that's awesome. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. In the next video, we'll be taking things a step further and talking about those lists. I briefly covered lists in our loops video, but we're going to be talking more about them and their use cases and more about them. So I'll see you in the next one.